don't even know where to begin when discussing House of the Dragon Season 2 Episode 7. I've not watched something in a very long time that has made me genuinely shake with chills. So either I've got a problem or this episode was legendary. I'm just going to put it out there. This was my favourite episode of the season so far. It was pure perfection from start to finish. And I'm so excited to talk to you about it. So this was the penultimate episode of the season, which makes me very sad because it means that it's coming to an end. We've got the finale next week and I don't think I'm emotionally prepared for it. In this episode we had a lot of dragon action. If you've watched my channel before, then you'll know I've got a thing about dragons. I love everything to do with dragons, and this episode delivered. It was phenomenal, and I don't use that word very often because I struggle to pronounce it. So you know that that's how good the episode was. So this episode starts off straight from the get-go with a very picturesque scene involving two dragons. We have Rhaenyra and her dragon, and then we have Seasmoke and her new dragon rider, Adam Hull. We left off in the previous episode that Seasmoke had chosen her new dragon rider. Nobody claimed her, she claimed him. And he seems pretty loyal to Rhaenyra. So at this point, she is unaware that he is actually Corlys's illegitimate son. And there's a theme throughout this episode where they are deliberately withholding that information. There'll probably be some big grand reveal about that in the next episode, I'm assuming, just to add a little bit of juice to the episode. Juice is a bit of a weird word. I mean, Rhaenyra's been struggling to find appropriate dragon seeds for a little while now, and now one has just presented himself to her. Obviously she does have some hesitancy, she's not sure which side he is loyal to, but he pledges his loyalty to her. What more could she ask for? She's literally been handed a dragon seed on a plate. How much more lucky can you get? Adam Hull did not choose the dragon life chose him. The whole scene is absolutely beautiful and you get to see the grand scale of the dragons. I really like when you can see the dragons in comparison to humans because it really does show just how huge they are, to be honest. They're not small animals, they are not like a hamster or a dog. They are big boys. News travels fast as we then transition over to a scene of Larys Strong and some other guy whose name I've forgotten talking about Adam Hull and Seasmoke. So they are aware that there is a new dragon rider. It's quite clear Larys does not like Aemond, so he is not going to pre-warn Aemond. He's actually persuading the other guy to keep this information from him. Doesn't need to know. So he's advising this bloke not to tell Aemond about the new dragon rider. It is pretty clear that Larys is more on Aegon's side. He is maybe twisting Aegon around his finger a little bit more, but that's possibly to get him back into power again. We then go over to a shot of Jace brooding over the dragons with a very smouldering expression. These men know how to smoulder, but we do start to see some of Jace's difficult opinions in this episode. He's not too happy that the dragon seedlings don't need to be of noble birth, because then he's thinking, what separates him from the small folk? He is an illegitimate son himself, and he's always thought that the thing that makes him special or separates him is the fact that he has a dragon. In this episode, we then see that small folk can claim a dragon. So Jace is now thinking, what makes me so different to them? And that causes him to smoulder, just looking off into the distance. I've not nailed the smouldering. So yeah, pretty early on in this episode, obviously, after meeting with Adam Hull, Rhaenyra does realise that the dragon riders do not need to be of noble birth. They just need the appropriate bloodline within them. And it turns out that there's a lot of illegitimate children out there. The Targaryens do love their sex. Who would have thought there'd be so much choice for dragon riders? Right at the start of this episode, Damon is looking a bit run down and depressed, to be honest. That man has clinical PTSD. And again, as I feel like I say every single week, Damon's storyline does not really do much. He's still at Harrenhal, he is still having the same old visions. He's not moved for like 6 episodes now. Come on, Damon, do something please. He wasn't really in this episode much at all. We did see Oscar Tully getting some more lines and there was a pretty saucy scene there. Somebody lost their head, Damon killed somebody, uh-oh, spaghetti-o. He really needs to get off the shrooms because he is still having his hallucinations. I think I was bored of him like 3 episodes ago, and he's kind of just coasting, doing the same thing every single episode. Do something in the finale, Damon. Come on, move. Like, come on, can we please have him be sane again? Petition to make Damon sane again. Although, that being said, his vision with Viserys was quite an interesting one in terms of looking at Damon's values and motives. So we had Viserys again, another cameo from Paddy, which I like. And Viserys has the crown and is asking Damon, do you still want it? And this shows Damon starting to question whether or not he actually does still want it. Is it worth all this hassle to have the crown? That's a huge contrast to a few episodes ago where he was mouthing off about saying, I will take the throne and Rhaenyra can choose to sit with me if she wants. I'm king, not king consort. But now it seems like it's the other way around and he's starting to think, actually, just let Rhaenyra be queen. I am obviously going to be king consort. I don't know if I want the full crown now. It feels like a lot of hassle to get there. So we have seen in this season that Damon has developed emotions that he did not previously have, like compassion, empathy. He's getting a softer side to him. And that's basically all he did this episode. There's going to be no more Damon chat because he didn't do anything else. We also have Aegon, who is finally out of bed after the world's longest nap. He is clearly in pain. He does have permanent scarring and injuries. However, his recovery time is a lot quicker paced in this season than it is in the books. But I do get that because that wouldn't really work in a TV adaptation unless they just wrote the character out. And it doesn't make sense for him to not be an active character at this point. So they have definitely sped up his recovery time, which I am here for. I like his character. It would have been a shame if they had written him out for like another season whilst he's recovering. The Grand Maester is encouraging that he stays in bed, but Larys Strong is trying to rush his recovery, trying to get him out there walking. That might be due to the fact that he is not a fan of Aemond. He does not want Aemond on the throne, so he's trying to get Aegon back on the throne as quick as he possibly can. But whether or not rushing his recovery is actually going to hinder Aegon in the long run, we'll have to wait and see. We also get a little bit of progression in this episode regarding Rhaena and the possibility that she is probably going to claim Sheepstealer, or Sheepstealer might claim her. Again, they didn't show too much about this. We kind of got the same amount of it as we did in the previous episode. They're alluding to it, but they're not really showing anything yet. How do you even claim a dragon? Like, is there a guidebook? Does she have step-by-step instructions? But one of the things that is quite important about this season is that they seem to have given the Nettles storyline in the books to Rhaena. So it's probably unlikely that Nettles is actually going to be a character at all, and they've just combined her storyline into Rhaena's character. But it just means that some of the events that are going to happen further on in the books may not happen in the TV show, or there's going to be some other changes or some other adaptations in the future that we'll see. So I'm quite looking forward to that. It's like you never know what's going to happen with that storyline. There's things we don't know. In this episode, Alicent has decided to live the traveller lifestyle. She goes to the woods and sleeps outside in a tent. She has made references in this episode around feeling worthless, not wanting to be here. I think we knew that that was coming. The past few episodes have been building up to more and more people interrupting her, not listening to her, not being at the council tables anymore. She doesn't serve a purpose. And that's basically Alicent for this episode, is just being very down, understandably so. So let's talk about the thing that made this episode my favourite ever. The entire part of the episode where the small folk are trying to claim the dragons. It was pure perfection. And that is the majority of the episode, to be honest. That is a massive chunk of the episode. It felt like the scenes lasted ages, which I'm so happy about because I was enjoying them so much. So we have the small folk all going down to the dragon layers to meet their Mythor. And the scenes and the cinematography and the whole production, I'm actually getting chills talking about it. The silence. All music stops. The distant noises of the dragons slowly approaching. The camera angles, the shadows of the dragon's wings in the darkness. I need to get a life. The sharp teeth, those gnashes, the scale of the dragon against Rhaenyra. And when she turns around and says, "Who among you will be first?" Not me, I am out of there. You would not catch me for a second trying to claim that dragon. And then at that point I knew that someone was gonna die. in that scene. Many people were gonna die. You just know when you're dealing with a dragon, someone is likely to die. People were being burnt, people were being eaten, thrown off the ledge. It was carnage everywhere. Rhaenyra was watching with the most disappointment, and Vermithor is just there like, snack time, thanks Rhaenyra. Like, Vermithor's reaction is literally what I'm like with the chicken nuggets in a share box from McDonald's. Just ravishing the whole thing. And one thing that I loved about this episode is that we do get to see Ulf and Hugh both claiming their dragons. Again, they have been claimed, not the other way around. And I really like that we were introduced to both of these characters really early on. I think the pacing with that was spot on. We were introduced to these characters ages ago, so many episodes ago, and now we finally get to see their journeys towards becoming dragon riders. And we have to agree that the award for the biggest balls in the universe has to go to Hugh. When he approaches and confronts the dragon after seeing the absolute carnage and the massacre that's just happened around him. He shouts to the dragon, he says, "I'm ready!" And then it's official. The Bronze Fury has a rider. That scene, man, I can't get over. I can't get over how good that scene was. It was everything I wanted it to be and more. So that means we then turn to Ulf, who clearly at this point is going to be confronted with Silverwing. And again, the cinematography, that scene where he is in the cave and what you think is a rock behind him is actually the dragon in the background, and you start to see it move and the look on his face. And this scene is actually really comical, which gave it such a light-hearted feel to it, which I really enjoyed. The dragon is really playful with him when it's nudging him. The shot of Ulf lying there, prepared to die, thinking, I'm about to get eaten here. And then the look on his face 5 seconds later when he thinks, why am I not dead yet? And the facial expression when he realises that actually he's been chosen by the dragon. And then we see Ulf taking it in his stride, doing a victory lap on his dragon, and he's laughing. So even though he's probably quite scared, I mean, earlier on in the episode he was making excuses to not try and claim a dragon when he was in the tavern with his mates. He was making excuses, saying, oh, maybe I'm not from the right bloodline. And now here he is, he's come full circle, he's riding his dragon, he's laughing. So then we have Aemond and his big girl on the go. So at this point, Aemond has now realised that somebody has claimed Silverwing. So he gets up on his girl, and obviously his dragon is the biggest. He clearly sets off with the intention to fight. He thinks he is invincible because he has the biggest dragon. What he then comes to realise very shortly after that is that there's not just one, there's not just two, but there's a lot of dragons. And it would not just be one dragon that him and Vhagar would need to fight, it would be all of them. And even he is not stupid enough to fight them all. At this point, I think he's had the first realisation that he is not invincible. And then that final shot of Rhaenyra giving Aemond that "come at me bro" expression with the dragons behind her approaching. That is the type of shot that I would want on a poster, on my wall. I would want to frame it. It was beautiful. The entire episode was just brilliant, and we have the finale next week, which I'm so gutted about because I don't know what I'm going to do with myself when this finishes, but I think it's going to be an incredible episode and I'm really looking forward to it. So that is my review. So I will have my review on the finale going up next week, and then I'm going to do a whole entire season 2 recap summary and some predictions for season 3. I would love for you to let me know your thoughts and opinions on this episode as well. Did you like it as much as I did? What did you think to it? Did you not like it very much? Leave me a comment and let me know. I would love to have that discussion with you. If you like this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up to let me know that you did. And if you enjoy my content and you want to see more from me, then please subscribe because it's free and it means that you can see my videos a bit easier. I will see you next time, or rather you'll see me, and I hope that you have a wonderful rest of your day. Bye for now.